Have you ever thought about doing hypnosis backwards? Well, I'm here with Mike Mandel, our 5,000-year-old wizard and the head of the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. We've never done a video standalone just on this topic, and I think it's an important one, and here's why. So way back in the day, I'm going to just set the stage for Mike to talk about this more. Way back in the day, almost 100 years ago, as you pointed out to me, Clark Hull, 1933. He was Erickson's professor when Milton Erickson was learning hypnosis. Clark Hull was his prof. Like, this is how far back we go. And as you explained, he wrote in his book,
Hypnosis and Suggestibility.
He wrote, anything that assumes trance causes trance. Now, let's talk about how the old way to do hypnosis used to work, and then how you learned this from Tad James from studying his cassette tapes, and how we now actually use a little bolt-on to make hypnosis very, very rapid and very, very easy.
All right, so the old way, the original way, people would produce any kind of hypnotic phenomena. Let's say it's a cataleptic limb, a floating arm. The old way would be you'd give a lot of suggestions that the person's getting relaxed, they're getting sleepy, you're falling into a trance, and when they start to exhibit trance phenomena, we would then say your hand is rising, it's starting to lift, it's floating in the air. And after quite a bit of work, their hand might lift up and float in the air and become cataleptic with a balanced agonist-antagonist muscle. So they're just floating like this. So we have done trance induction, given suggestions to produce this phenomena. But because of Clark Hull saying anything that assumes trance causes trance, we're going to do it the other way around. We produce the phenomena, the floating limb, and we get trance automatically by default. And that's what makes it so powerful.
And that's going to be the focus of this video. We're going to deploy this specifically to catalepsy so that you can use it for rapid inductions, and it makes it really, really fast and robust. And then if we have some time, which I think we might, we'll introduce a story about how you use this same principle with name amnesia on the stage, creating the name amnesia and getting the trance by result.
And resulting in a very angry hypnotist.
You made a particular hypnotist very, very angry at you. You can't do this. So it's kind of funny. But this is an important principle. Clark Hull, 1933, anything that assumes trance causes trance. So as you just pointed out, normally, okay, we're going to get the person all relaxed and suggest eyelid fatigue and closure and suggest relaxation and suggest that the hand's getting lighter and lighter and floating, whatever. Now we're going to sneak in the back door of trance, and we're just going to set up catalepsy. So many years ago, Mike taught me this induction called the kinesthetic ambiguity rapid induction. And only within the last few years, I really honed in the languaging and said, you know what you're doing is basically Ericksonian artfully vague language. But your setup, this first 10 seconds max that you do right at the very beginning, I started calling it a little bolt-on. It's a really important bolt-on to the whole process. So let's show it. And so we're going to explain the setup, what the catalepsy bolt-on looks like, and then just maybe the next 10 or 15 seconds of what you might say to me once I'm in trance. I'll be your demo subject. So, all right.
So in order to do this induction by producing phenomena, in this case catalepsy, it could be any hypnotic phenomena, I've got a willing subject here, and the first thing I'm going to say is, Chris, may I borrow that hand?
Okay.
Point to his hand.
We'd normally be standing or sitting without microphones in front of us. And when you say, may I borrow that hand? First of all, there's the dissociation angle.
I'm not saying your hand, it's that hand. It feels like it's dissociated from him.
Creates a little confusion.
And it's also a great way to get the attention of the unconscious. It starts to cause the dissociation, which is concomitant with hypnosis most of the time, if not all the time.
Plus, you're pointing at that hand. So my being, I've already agreed to do hypnosis with you, so obviously my hand starts to rise automatically when you say borrow that hand. That's just an idiomotor response.
It just happens automatically. So now I'm going to take this and go to the next step. I'll take his hand lightly, and I want his eyes closed so that we're getting this profound effect. And I'll pass my hand in front of his face and say, eyes closed now.
And I'll close my eyes.
And I say it with intention, like I'm expecting something to happen. I don't have eyes closed now. Eyes closed now. Now, as soon as his eyes close, I let go here, but I continue to touch his hand with these micro little touches, maybe pushing his hand down a bit, maybe lifting with a finger. This only has to go for a few seconds, but guess what happens? As I'm doing this, I'm drawing his full attention to this hand. So I'm saying things like, and you notice the sensations in that hand. It may tingle, it may feel different somehow, and he'll start to produce those feelings automatically. Now, by doing these tiny little touches, this kinesthetic ambiguity, and putting his full attention on this hand, guess what happens? It just floats in the air. I never say to him, your hand is rising, your hand is staying in. I don't say anything. It just floats and becomes cataleptic.
I'm sinking right into it. Okay.
Even though you know I'm doing it.
Yes, I know. And I really love that you explained the kinesthetic ambiguity, the touching in full detail, and then cascaded into, okay, you're not just having the person's eyes closed there and randomly touching their hand in a way that they don't understand. Am I lifting it? Am I shoving it down? What am I supposed to be doing? But there is wording used here. And
the languaging draws their attention to the hand. As soon as you do that with the little touches, it will start to feel different to them.
Right.
Which will emphasize the fact that it's floating in the air without saying it.
And the key point here is this catalepsy setup only needs to take maybe 10 seconds because may I borrow that hand? The hand comes up, right? Eyes closed now, really awkward to the microphone. And then usually we would jump in with something like, and as you begin to notice all of the changing sensations in that hand, like something like that. You only need to do that all the way back. You only need to do that for a few seconds. And if they're a willing subject, they've got their eyes closed. Something is now happening kinesthetically.
And you're engaging their curiosity by doing this. And it all begins to amplify the catalepsy. At some point, they realize the hand is floating.
Right.
But they don't put it down because you've gotten a trance automatically.
Exactly. And so now all you do is continue. So you've bolted on this little piece of catalepsy, which gives you a massive crowbar, a lever arm to pry open that door to trance. And then you can just continue talking with your hypnotic language generator.
Sure.
Which, of course, if you guys don't have them yet, the hypnotic language cards are available on our website. We'll make sure we put a link in the description under this video. But these are the kinds of things that can give you some more clues as to what would you say to continue to draw that person's attention to the hand, but then shortly after we're drawing the attention to the hand, what are we doing?
Here's what we're going to do. Now we have a floating limb. We can utilize this any way we choose. And the most obvious way is, and you'll go deeper and deeper into trance as your hand sinks down.
Right.
So what does that do? Not only does it draw them into trance, as their hand will sink, or deeper trance, because we've got trance already, but this also adds the aspect, it gives me a visual gauge of what's happening. Because as it's sinking, I know he's going deeper. I can watch this happen. And if his hand continues to sink way down, I'll say, and when your hand touches down, you'll be in that place where you can make all of these wonderful changes. I'm now feeding this back to him, and the effect is immensely powerful.
Awesome. So in a nutshell, use catalepsy, use the kinesthetic ambiguity process or any similar process to set up catalepsy, which is the bolt-on. Then we're using artfully vague language. We can direct the hand downwards, use cause and effect language to indicate that the hand dropping down creates a deeper and deeper trance. Then we're just continuing on with whatever process we would normally do, usually guiding the attention inwards, invoking imagination, offering direct suggestion.
It's open to you at this point. This is a utility. It's a Swiss Army knife. You can use a million different ways.
I love that.
So if you're doing street hypnosis, just as an aside, you can have the hand rise now and stick to their face, which everybody seems to find hilarious. I never got it, but never thought it was funny. But some people like that. So as your hand rises up and your face moves down towards it, they stick together and it's kind of funny and interesting. And the person's, There's all kinds of things you can do. You're limited only by your imagination once you have the cataleptic limb.
All right. So kinesthetic ambiguity is just one of many inductions that you can learn to do this stuff. We teach this all in the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. Hopefully you've gained some new appreciation for how you can really quickly sneak in and pry that backdoor to trance open, do hypnosis backwards by setting up catalepsy first. It's really freaking awesome.
And it works. It's brilliant and it's simple to do.
All right. If you want to learn more, head on over to MikeMandelHypnosis.com. You can always join the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy and we'll show you all this stuff. And you can practice with our team and it's fantastic. All right.
Thanks again.
And good night. Okay, we almost forgot to include this in the video, but I had promised we were going to talk about how Mike really upset a hypnosis trainer way back in the day, and it involves this same principle of anything that assumes trance causes trance. So let me just set it up and then hand it off to you. So you're doing a stage hypnosis show.
George and College, Barrie, Ontario.
What year? Like
1970s.
70s.
Late 1970s.
All right. You had perfected this beautiful way, and in the 70s, I don't even know if you would have deconstructed it and understood understood it the way you do now.
No, I didn't. It was learning the Clark Hall stuff later showed me what I had done.
Oh, that's what I did.
Yeah.
So you were creating name amnesia with people who were volunteers for a show that you technically hadn't put into trance yet.
Or we'd done a lot of suggestibility tests. We'd taken them on some different trips, but I never said
there was no formal induction.
No
yet.
formal induction.
So the clinical hypnotist in the audience sees.
He was a stage hypnotist.
He was a stage
hypnotist. He wasn't a trainer. He was a stage hypnotist.
Oh.
He was there with his wife and a friend.
Okay, so he would have had a different model, which is you must do the induction and a bunch of deepeners and all these things.
Your name is going away. It's going drifting into the
and
really
then he'd
complex.
create name amnesia.
Yeah.
You did a bunch of suggestibility tests. We have a director's cut on this stage hypnosis show to deconstruct it. If you're interested, maybe we'll put a card up in the YouTube video.
Good idea.
This. And so you didn't do a formal induction at this point. And then what did you do? How did you create name amnesia?
The girl on stage, and I talked to her just for a few moments about normal things.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, by the way, what's your name? You can't remember. Just like that. And that was it. But there's a bit of a shock and a pattern interrupt. And so the person starts to check internally, why is he saying it? And now she's about to remember. So what I would do was I came up with this idea. I shoved the microphone in the person's face and say, take your time. Now, that puts them around the loop again. Why is he saying that? Have I forgotten my name?
Yeah.
They're doing all this internal checking.
Yeah. Take your time is kind of like try as hard as you can.
Yeah, it is very much so. And so I just did this for maybe 20 seconds. And they said, okay, we got your name back again. Or something. And she did. So after the show, this man, Edward Heath, came up to me. We'll say his name. So it's the late 70s. I don't think he's alive anymore. He's quite a bit older than me. But he said, I'm the best hypnotist in the world. I said, that's cool. And he said, what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And I thought he meant morally wrong. So I was ready to make a spirited defense on how I was a nice guy and everything. And I said, well, I'm not sure. He said, it is impossible to take away someone's name, to cause name amnesia without a somnambulistic trance. That was his thing.
Right.
And
he obviously didn't understand the Clark Hall principle.
And neither did I then.
By doing it the way you did it with suggestibility
producing the phenomena,
tests,
getting the trance.
Right.
So I said, well, you just saw me do it. He said, that's beside the point. So it didn't fit his model of the world. It was wrong for me to mess with the rules of hypnosis and to create phenomena without this deep trance. But then my hypnosis became very fluid after that, and I started pushing the boundaries a bit because I didn't know what was impossible yet. And it turned out it wasn't.
There you go. So even back in the day, you didn't understand the reason why it worked, but you knew that it worked. And then later, through the Tad James tapes and learning the Clark Hall principle,
I understood the reason.
And now you understand the principle, and now you understand that you can sneak into hypnosis very quickly using something like catalepsy setup.
And just to be fair, it didn't work every time.
Yeah.
But it was like Pareto's principle. It probably worked 80% of the time.
Right.
And if it didn't work, I'd just go on to something else. But if it did work, the effect on the audience was phenomenal.
Awesome. Well, that was a worthy PS to the video. So thanks again, and good night again.